See if they happen to come on. No. Oh, hallelujah. Look what we got here, boys and girls. I'm Mike Dimas, and this is Pinball Shenanigans. Okay, back at Close Encounters for another go. The idea for today is to try and get this Roto wheel working. It needs a shop job. I haven't shopped one of them up before, but watched a couple videos and I think I can pull it off. But I think what I'm gonna probably end up doing is bringing the mech home so I can really give it a good thorough job. I just won't be able to do it as well here in the garage. And then if you've been following along, I installed this reproduction or aftermarket Lizzie board. It's made in France, I think, but Europe somewhere, and everything's working fine except my controlled lamps. So been doing some research. I made a post. I talked to Ralph on Pinside, who is the owner, creator of Lizzie. His first thought was to repin this connector. He says, this board's a little more sensitive to voltages and whatnot. Then I showed him a video and he said, everything looks good. Also it was suggested that I might need to reflash this chip here. So I don't have the tools to do that, but my brother Corey Cook of London Pinball should be able to pull that off for me if needed. And so repin connector, change this chip. Imagine I would have to do both sides too. It would be nice if I could just do only the wires that are responsible for the lamps. I wouldn't really need to do the ones that are responsible for solenoids because they are working fine, so I could bust out the schematics and just sort of selectively repin that connector if needed, because there's a lot of wires and that would be a pain in the butt. So Ralph saw my video. After he saw my video, he said to check the fuse in the cabinet and the voltage, which I'm pretty sure I did, but I have to double check that. Oh, and also Bigfoot Bruce, who gave me this board, has been following along, and it's got kind of curious like what the behavior of these LEDs are when I boot up the machine, because that's going to be informative. So I'll have to see what lights turn on and in what sequence and what they do, and see what information I can gather from that. But if I can get this controlled lamps working with this board, then that would be pretty sweet. If not, then my other Nywumpf board seems to be holding up. So I thought before this was causing the game to kind of spontaneously just either reset or crash. It hasn't happened yet, so may not be a board thing, but I'll only be able to tell after I kind of put this through the ringer for a bunch of games and see what happens. I also wouldn't mind checking out this board to see if it works. Found it in my stash, and it looks good, except in the very bottom it says bad U5, so may or may not be good. Probably not. What else? Oh, I'm going to probably flip over the playfield, which is a pretty sweet trick you can do on these Gottlieb System 1 machines, so I can easily access the bottom side. I still have yet to go through all the bulbs and make sure they are all working. So if you noticed a couple that were out, don't worry, I haven't gone through every bulb yet. I did casually go through a few, but I think there's some out in this area. And oh, also, I brought some blinker bulbs because there are a couple here that like to kind of just turn on and off. There's slow blinkers, there's fast blinkers, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's factory, because that is right behind this UFO spaceship. And I think that is a cool effect. So I don't know if they're all working, but I'm gonna there's sort of like 4 windows here, and maybe these all correspond to those spots. So I'll make sure all 4 are working, and I think that'll be a cool effect. So, and also I have another lane guide. Actually, this one isn't so bad, but I do have one in case I want to replace it, but that's not too bad. So I may just leave that. Oh, and also I still need to complete my fuse mod for the voltage coming into the small transformer, which is just a matter of soldering a wire and onto the fuse clip basically, and onto the transformer. So I'm gonna putter around without those things and see if we can take this Roto target home. Okay, I'm gonna start with this Lizzie board, and I just want to see what the LEDs do once we power on the machine. The little Raspberry Pi has a light. I didn't realize. But we're still in wait mode, waiting for Raspberry Pi. And then we should get some activity here shortly. There we go. We got yellow. And now we got green. Okay, don't know what that all means, but I will report those findings back to Bigfoot Bruce. And it did kind of a bit of a weird thing there. What was that? Oh yeah, check it out. One of our blinker bulbs is not working. And I'd say these are like fast blinkers. So we'll address that after. But so for now we got a solid green light. And we are booted up. Everything looks good. So let's hit the start button. Now we're gonna need to add a credit. Now hit the start button. All right, the controlled lamps didn't miraculously start working by themselves. Okay, so moving on for now. Okay, while we're here, let's deal with these blinker bulbs. So 2 of our UFO windows are blinking. Let's get those other 2 working as well. Okay, out of all the bulbs in the back box, literally only 1 was not working. So that's impressive. Okay, got to give that a second to warm up. And we'll start blinking. There we go. Now this guy. So the 2 on the left appear to be pretty slow. The 2 on the right appear to be pretty fast. Let's kind of mix it up. Let's do that. Slow, fast, slow, fast. And now let's see how that looks. I think that looks pretty awesome. So we're gonna leave it like that. All right, let's double check these fuses and see if that is the issue with the controlled lamps. I'm pretty sure it's this one here. And that is diode test. Let's go to beep. Good. Save the best for last. Yeah, fuse is fine. Okay, I stuck this NIWAMP board back in just to see what's going on. See if we have controlled lamps and try and isolate the issue here. At this point, it's gotta be a connector problem or a board problem. Or is it Look at that. We do not have controlled lamps with the NiWumph board. There should be some lights on, right? Let's start a game just to be sure. Okay. This is possibly good news. It means maybe there is no issue with the Lizzie after all. So, all right, I'm going to mess around with this connector, maybe reseat it a couple times, because it could be something as simple as that connector, and maybe check out the schematics and see which pins on this connector are responsible for the controlled lamps. Okay, this is what I'm going to try. It's not necessarily the greatest solution, but I want to see what I can figure out. So I just found this old wire switch, and I'm using it to pry the terminals towards me so that there's a little gap between the connector and the terminal. You can see that they're not all gapped identically, so I'm just kind of bending them forward so that it really snugs onto the board when I connect it. So see if that makes any difference whatsoever. Okay, I got that back on, and I also reseated that side. I should probably reseat all the bottom connectors too. If this doesn't work, then I will do that next. Let's see what happens here. Don't have high hopes, but you never know. Not looking too good. Okay. Start a game just for fun. Nothing. Okay. Okay, I want to show you what I found. These are the connectors for the bottom of the solenoid driver board. And I haven't really checked these guys yet, but so far they look pretty good. Looks pretty decent. But look what I did find. The second pin from the right here, which is purple. That doesn't look so good. That looks broken. I don't know that that's the be-all, end-all solution, but I definitely need to fix that. Okay, I used my thumbtack method to remove the connector, and you know, sometimes I think jamming in the thumbtack does potentially cause terminals to break, but it's in 3 pieces, so time to replace that. Okay, that was successful, and you can see the new terminal here. See how close that is to the edge of the connector compared to the number 1 terminal? Set a little further back, so that's tension is just kind of lost over the years. So I have no idea what that purple wire does, but we'll install that and see what happens. Alright, that's all reconnected. Let's try this again. Don't have the highest hopes, but you never know. Definitely seems like, you know, we're missing a voltage or a fuse is blown. It feels like that. It's either that or connector. But that is clearly not the solution. Okay, so I just quadruple checked the fuses, but this time I removed them from the fuse clips. They are fine. Then I tested the bridges again, just to be safe, and they test fine. tested my 2 new fuses that I installed. They're fine. And then I remembered I have to finish doing this fuse mod, so I just got to cut this brown wire, add it to the fuse clip, add another wire to the lug of the transformer, and I believe that is a 1 amp slow blow fuse, which reminds me I should write these values with a Sharpie somewhere so that it's good for me and any future owner. Okay, fuse mod complete. I've got all 3 fuses and I labeled them and got extra protection now, so I'm happy with that. Okay, next thing we're going to do is check the voltage at the lamp socket itself, at any one of the controlled lamp sockets. Let's turn on the machine and hopefully nothing explodes with my new fuse mod, because there was a second there where I wasn't sure which lug the brown wire went to, but I think I got it right. Let's find out. Now, when I was checking the voltages earlier, I did recheck all of the voltages coming off the power supply, and it was fine. They were all fine. 6 voltages. You got your -12, your 5, your, it says right there somewhere, 60, 43, 8, and 4. So those were all good. But this is going to be more of an accurate test to see if the voltage is making it all the way to the lamp socket. So got one lead on the ground plane here, and we're in DC volts. Now we're going to check the lamp socket right at the base here. Let's move this somewhere where we can see it. All right, let's try something here. What do we got? You probably can't see that, but it says 1.8. Don't think that's any good. 1.8. Let's try something down here. Oops. 1.8. So we're supposed to be getting 6 volts, and we are not. So I think we might have to start suspecting the tilt relay. Okay, so PinWiki says if the fuse tests fine, but you're not getting proper voltage at the lamp socket, there are a few switches on the tilt relay that are normally closed, and that is where we need to check next. So T is for tilt. And what we're gonna do here, I've got a little jeweler's screwdriver, and we're gonna short these switches closed. Let's see which ones are actually technically closed. So it looks like 3 of the 4 are quote-unquote closed, but one may just not be making good contact. So let's short these 2 switches together. I see some light going on and off. I don't know what it is, but I don't think... Oh, don't think that is our culprit. What is that? Okay, well, let's move on to this guy here. That doesn't seem to be doing anything. What about this guy? That also does not appear to be doing anything. I remember in an earlier video, I was kind of messing around in this area, and I heard the tiniest little crackle and the tiniest little puff of smoke. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but that comes to mind at the moment. So what about the Q relay. What happens if we do this? Maybe I should be starting a game here. Let's do that. Because we know that these lights should be on at the start of the game. So let's just mess with this again one more time. See if they happen to come on. No. Oh, hallelujah. Look what we got here, boys and girls. I think we found our problem. Dirty switch contact on the tilt relay. So if you just remove this little clip here, don't ever drop it or you'll lose it forever. But then you can just remove the whole tilt relay and get nice access to it and wedge some like sandpaper in there and give it a cleaning. A lot of people are going to be like, you should never use sandpaper. And they could be right, but I'm using it. Okay, let's power on the machine. We'll keep the Nywumph in there for now. I'm just going to leave everything propped up because next on the docket, if this actually works, is our Roto wheel. So here goes nothing. Give it a minute to play its tune and hit it. Okay, now add a credit and start a game. No controlled lamps. Maybe I did a bad cleaning job. Where is my screwdriver? Oh. Well, I guess I didn't clean it very well. I guess I'll go back to the drawing board. Yeah, it was me. I just did a crappy job cleaning the switch contact there, so give it a little more vigorous workout, and we have controlled lamps, finally. Okay, out of curiosity, I want to see what this board does. An original, and I did swap the game ROM. I did notice the battery is not connected on the one terminal there. And it does look like that chip, and these two chips have been replaced because they have sockets. And I'm not sure which is U5. Gonna need to pull out the schematics for that because it's not printed on the board. But let's just see what happens. Ready? Hopefully nothing bad. I don't think it can destroy my driver board or anything. Well, we didn't get the boot up tune, did we? We've got displays though. Okay, don't you be shorting anything there, doors. Well, let's see if I can add a credit. No, I cannot. All right. So this board is not working fully, but we got displays at least, so I'll throw that back in the old pile. Okay, the Lizzie is back installed. I wonder if I need a ground mod on this guy. I'm gonna have to find out, because I don't have one on there. But for the first time, with the Lizzie board installed, we have controlled lights. So things are starting to come together. Just started a game here. Let's punch a ball for fun. The sounds on this Lizzie board are a little bit different. Not really any better or worse, but you know, Gottlieb System 1 sounds, they're all kind of blah. Alright, finally. Hey, wait. B switch didn't register. Did you see that? Okay. I give that a cleaning, but I'm happy with the Lizzie board. I'm sure that'll be reliable. The power supply's shopped up, and the driver board is good, and obviously all the cabinet stuff I did. So I think electronically the machine is sound. So now I gotta deal with this Roto target. Okay, I just flipped the playfield over, and I love this about Gottlieb System 1s. It's like a built-in rotisserie. Check it out. How cool is that? Rests in there perfectly, and I have nice, easy access to everything. I wonder if the Lizzie has a nice lamp test for me so I can make sure all these bulbs are working, you know. The one that's built into the Gottlieb System 1 architecture is garbage. It just like flashes through each bulb so quick, and then it moves on. It does one bulb each at a time, and it doesn't just repeat. It just moves on to like solenoid test after or something. So you got one crack at it, and it is not a good test. So I think I'm going to check to see if the Lizzie has a proper lamp test. Okay, I don't know if it's me, but I turned on the machine, pressed this button, nothing happened, so I don't know how to access the diagnostic menu. So either way, I'll deal with bulbs at some point. These two were definitely burned out, so I changed those. But now it is time to remove this thing. So got 3 screws over here, and another 3 screws here. And that should free that up, and then I need to free up this solenoid here, so these 2 wires should do that. And then I can sort of disassemble the thing partly, leave this board here, and take the front and take the back home. If that works, we'll see. Okay, I got my screws removed. Now we can pick this thing up, kind of like rest it here. And we got a bit of a ground strap here. So I'll remove these 3 screws, and maybe I'll be free and clear. Okay, screws removed. This thing looks like it just pops off like that. And now what happens? Hey, look at that. These guys are all intact. On the couple of videos I watched on the internet of a couple refurbishments of these things, both sets of Rotos had broken targets that had been repaired. So all these targets are intact. That is wonderful. I know I got to clean up these springs and contact points here, but all right, we got that. And then I can clean all these rivets. I don't even know what these guys are, but probably will clean them as well. All right, see if I can remove this thing now. Okay, so I think I just need to remove this thing, and then I can leave this board behind, and everything else should be able to come home with me, except I ran into a bit of a roadblock. I didn't bring my Allen keys, so I thought I was done, but I just snooped around over in my stash over there, and you wouldn't friggin' believe it. This is a small miracle, and it actually is the correct size. I cannot believe it. So, roadblock averted. Okay, with these 2 screws removed, I can pull this thing off. And then there was this blue wire barely attached to this here. I guess that's ground with a nut and a screw. So I just left that like that. And then here we have the mech. Ooh. That fork looks really bent here, eh? That don't look good. There's some adjustments and alignments that are required for this thing to work properly. So I'm going to have to do my research again. Someone tried to tighten the spring, probably because pivot points are all super gummy, and thought that might help resolve the problem, but it didn't. So we'll give this a good cleaning and disassembling and reassembling and adjusting. And so there's a couple adjustment points there too. These slots for the solenoid that like controls the throw of the arm. It's a bit of a challenge here, / nightmare. So we'll see if I can survive it. So I'll continue this video back at the ranch. Okay, before I head out of here, I just did a couple things. I used brake cleaner, removes brake fluid, grease, and oil. I used it on all these contacts here because I thought that was the way to go, but I just confirmed with Corey, and he says he prefers Brasso to clean these guys up. So I actually have some at home, so I'll bring some Brasso next time I'm here and do these guys over again. And then I did resolder this guy, so it's much better now. And then I got in here and cleaned these 3 switch contacts. So it's starting to happen, slowly but surely. So time to pack up and head home. Okay, I made it back to the ranch. Got my parts on my bench. Time to give them a cleaning. I think my goal is just to really clean this guy up, because the Toronto Blue Jays are playing. Actually, I think the game starts at 8:08. And that is now. And it is game 7. If they win, they're going to the World Series. So it's kind of a big deal. So I don't care if I miss an inning or 2. So I'm going to focus on this guy, clean up the target faces. It's just plastic, so I'll use magic eraser. Clean up all these rivets with Brasso. I've checked all these connections and they all seem to be intact, so I don't have to deal with any soldering of wires there. And what do we got on the back side here? I'll just focus on cleaning up these springs and contact points here. So pretty simple job. So I'm gonna do that now. All right, the job is done. I just took my super clean, I sprayed everything, and then I just scrubbed it down with green scrubby, basically magic eraser for the faces. And then I just kind of like polished up the metal to some degree. I didn't go crazy on it, but it looks a lot better. And yeah, I didn't need to Brasso and clean these contact points because they're not contact points. They're just rivets for the targets. So I didn't have to clean those like I thought initially, but I did clean up these springs and little feet. I sprayed them thoroughly with super clean and then sort of worked it in, washed it all out, rinsed it all out with water, and then I used a little compressed air to get rid of any remaining water. So as long as the tension on these springs are good, then it should not be a problem. I imagine they are available to purchase if needed, probably from a place like Pinball Resource, but I'm hoping that they are going to be okay. So it's 8:20 now. Still got some time. This piece is extremely gunky. So at least let's give this a clean next. Alright, that guy's cleaned up. And I think maybe I'll tackle the solenoid. I think it's just these 4 screws, and I should be able to remove. Why is there no screws here? That don't seem right. And also missing a screw here. So that's a little fishy. Someone has definitely been in here, because that should not be bent like that either. And I think that this little piece here, so you got the adjustment there for the slots going horizontally. I feel like that's supposed to be pretty much perpendicular. It's definitely not. So I'm gonna re-watch the video on how to rebuild these things and see what's going on with these screws. Should be something like that, which I should have those Allen screws. But if I can at least clean this up, that would be a good start. Alright, I got the solenoid bracket free, and it's definitely in need of a cleaning. Okay, I got these parts cleaned up pretty good. It's pretty shiny. This plunger, used a toothbrush to get in there. And even the coil, like the wrapper, was pretty filthy. Still looks filthy, but it's a lot better than it was. And I didn't have a coil sleeve of the same length, so I just cleaned up this one as good as I could. And I even tried to like file the inside just a little bit, because the sleeve is a little bit tight. But it goes in there pretty good, so that should not be a problem. It is 8:49, and I think I got about 15 minutes before my laundry's done, so should be able to get this reassembled, and then we'll take a break. Alright, shout out to the Goat Shed. Those were the videos I watched. They had 2 different videos on dealing with this Roto target, and it is official. I am missing the 2 Allen screws, but I have a little black hole leftover bin here, and look what I found. I should be able to steal a couple of those, and this guy won't mind one bit. I do think that this Goat Shed video that I've been watching is a Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but possibly the electromechanical version. So there could be some slight variations, but I'm pretty sure that I'm good to install these 2 extra Allen screws, and if they are in the way of anything when I reassemble stuff, then I'll just remove them. But there is the finished product. My plunger moves in nice and freely, no issues there. I might be tempted to make these wires a little bit longer, because they are pretty short. So I may do that, but pretty happy with that. Add that to the done pile, and then tomorrow we'll tackle this monstrosity. Ellie, isn't this exciting? Oh, oh, I scared the crap out of Ellie. All right, Blue Jays are going to the World Series.